Good evening. Welcome to Caribou Weather Dude YouTube channel. My second look at Saskatchewan and Manitoba today, but there's a lot to talk about there. Fires have just gone extreme in a lot of places because of the wind. Speaking of the wind, Justin, who runs Weather Center of Manitoba, you can find them on YouTube or Facebook, sent me this video of the winds in Brandon, Manitoba this evening. This evening for them, where they reached 63 kilometers per hour at the airport there. I don't know what Justin was seeing, maybe stronger possibly. These are concerning winds, and they just give you an example of what you've been seeing in Brandon. Check it out. So I think those winds are pretty representative of what they've been seeing across Saskatchewan and Manitoba, was the whole point of that. Hit like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Okay, let's get back at her again. There it is. This is bad news. My God. Anything could happen. Get on! Wow. I'll watch the video later. Ain't try mopping this. And you get the impression of how much that smoke is really spreading out across the continent. Really, really wild how much smoke is being spread around from these fires in Saskatchewan in particular. Yeah, they're really bad. Even the one around Flin Flon, the major growth that has pushed forward and now really surrounded Flin Flon in active wildfires. The same is for L'Orange, which had massive fire growth on its fire that pushed at least to the north side of town. I don't have information on hand as to what's happened there. And the fire to the south continues to grow as well. So we're just seeing a lot of growth start to encircle L'Orange in all directions. And it's nervous times, I think, for everybody. Look at all that smoke we're expecting to see in the coming days. It's big time, people. It's big time. This is the story. I don't see when it's going to change, not anytime soon. And we are just starting meteorological summer. We're just getting started with the hot and dry weather. It's coming, folks. How many more lightning strikes are going to start more fires in the weeks ahead? I can't say. It's entirely possible that a weather change can start to transpire for the north and for Saskatchewan and Manitoba, but I don't see it on the horizon personally. I don't have any evidence or data on that. It really, to me, seems like it's alarming that it all started so early and that we don't have any real change in the forecast coming. We're going to watch the satellites for the last 2 days and see what we were seeing in Saskatchewan. As you can tell, that low pressure system, that mid-latitude cyclone, is going off in the north here, making its way slowly towards Hudson Bay. In the wake of it, in the dry sector below it, were strong winds, and those winds translated all the way down the line. Now we're into the next night. You can see some of those fires still burning in through the night, showing enough activity to put off some columns still through the night. Here we go into today now. We can really see that acrid color there. That is the smoke. That is definitely the smoke. You can see where the low is trying to move into Hudson Bay today, and it's making conditions windy all the way down. A bit of a cold front moving through southern Manitoba right now, which is responsible for that wind Justin was seeing there. Okay, have a good look at her again. See the fires wake up in the morning and start to go in the afternoon. Now they're kicking off the big column, showing extreme fire activity, showing extreme growth on those fires, chugging hard. Look at this, blows right up at the shoe and campfire area. You can see how Wolf blows right up. Fires we've been talking about a lot. You can see how some of those Manitoba fires blew right up. And now let's go into today once again and see what's happening. Fire wakes up early in the morning, starts to go fairly quickly because of the wind. Look at how big that wind field is along that associated front. It has made for a little bit more cloud cover, made for temperatures to be a little bit cooler. Imagine if it was 5 or 10 degrees warmer, how crazy things would be. They've already been bad enough. They've almost been worst case scenario, I would say. We've seen fire growth that's unimaginable, like you so rarely see unless you pay attention close. Every once in a while you see fire growth like has happened the last few days, but it's really crazy. Let's see what else we can find. Strong wind gusts that are in Saskatchewan right now are starting to move into Manitoba. Things are about to take their runs there too. As we enter the evening hours, we're seeing 31k gusts at the Paw Airport, winds in the 25, 39 gusts at Nipawin, 37, 43 gusts, gusts up to 41. So this is representative of what we're seeing, 39, 37. Still some strong winds out there with the potential of them gusting, maybe even as high as 60 in some places. Could be up to 60 max, and that is going to keep moving through into Manitoba, and that's going to, overnight at least, mostly for them, and that is kind of one of the bright spots maybe for Manitoba, is that you're going to miss some of the worst of the wind field during the heat of the day. Watch those fires start to wake up. There they start to go. You can really see them from space going hard yesterday. Chugging, exploding. Look at that. Just exploding so big. So those pyrocumulus columns able to punch through the atmospheric cap and get into that next section. You can see them still burning through the night even. Burning through the night. Bad sign, because it's just going to get warmer and warmer as the week progresses. Bad sign that we have a lot of summer to go, and I don't see any big change yet for the prairie, for their drought condition that they're in. It is pretty bad. Some truly next level fire behavior out there today. Big time growth. We'll take a look on the episode here now at some of those images again, see if we have an update as to what's been going on in Saskatchewan and Manitoba today. Man, crazy the size of that pyrocumulus column. Just unbelievable. Long wave infrared shows you some of the precipitation that did move through southern Manitoba. They did get a little lucky that way. That fire down by the the Ontario border there took a bit of rain. So as I said, that fire exploding so big, that fire activity that's punching right through the atmospheric cap, launching very, very, very high up. That's wild, almost thunderstorm sized. On this one, at least, we don't have to take a break through the night. We can see, because of the long wave infrared clouds all through the evening. People are walking by the house. I need to not pay attention if I have my curtains open, of course. And you can see how that low is churning up there. It's just sort of near the border of the territories. You can really see how it drives the wind on that south quadrant beneath it. You can see that fire smoke is now starting to spread out even a little bit in the United States. It'll be adding to haze even down there now, really spreading out across the continent. All that smoke of where we expect to see it go in the next day or two. British Columbia kicking off a bit of smoke, Alberta too, but it's really these guys in Saskatchewan and Manitoba still that are the nemesis of everybody. Look at them go, folks. Yeah, they're huge, they're big, they're bad. Some of them are merging at times. They continue to run in the wind. They have made considerable growth over the last couple days. Once again, taking big runs, and we don't have precipitation really forecast for them in the immediate future, at least. Nothing that we can guarantee. Nothing I can guarantee for precipitation coming for them anytime soon. So bad news. These fires continue to grow. We see our low pushing out, at least at some point. We'd expect the winds will calm down a little bit for a day, 2 or 3, but the heat will start building through all of Western Canada as we move towards the weekend. So fire conditions will continue to trend upwards. Things are dry out there and there's no relief in sight. Strange thing is that sometimes the amount of smoke in the air actually reduces the amount of sunlight that can get through to the ground. The sunlight on a hot spot will really wake it up and cause things to start burning more rapidly, more happily. So sometimes you see the amount of smoke in the air will actually deter fire behavior a little bit down the line. So hey, that's a kind of a pathetic positive, but it's something. And all our fires in this target area where we've had all the problems showing a lot of activity and a lot of growth over the last day or two. Alarming amount of activity being driven by wind, being driven by dry conditions. And look at Flin Flon is now nearly surrounded by this wolf fire in every direction now. Flin Flon is basically Baker's Narrows here, goes over these lakes, but effectively, you know, in every direction, there's active wildfire from Flin Flon, Manitoba. It's really, really wild. It's really crazy. Like, this really took a run, this wolf one. And I kept saying this was possible For a bunch of days, I've said that. So I feel quite vindicated. That's why you watch this channel. I shouldn't say vindicated because there's not really any great example of me being, incredibly wrong on these calls, right? So we knew that the wind was going to really drive fire activity this week, and we knew that there was going to be massive growth on all these fires. It was just a matter of how much for who and when, and it takes this map a little bit longer to upload. And I have a bunch of layers on top of each other just to show really fire perimeter and where activity has been over the last bunch of days. But we'll go to the firms map here in a second and we'll give you a better look. So we saw the shoe and the campfire merge and become one. Now we're seeing a lot of fire activity up in this northern section of it. Over here we have this other one by Montreal Lake that took a big run this last 2 days and is now threatening to merge with the Shoe Campfire. I would call this a mega fire. And we have the possibility that if southerlies come at some point, these guys could merge with this guy. We'd have one big section of mega fires where 4 fires have become one. 4 fires that have shown massive growth, have done massive amounts of burning. Now, this major run that this fire has taken over the last 2 days has really put La Ronge at risk. I don't know how close it's come. I don't know if there's been properties lost or whatever in some of these sections here. But as you can see, that's on or around communities. So we're really concerned about La Ronge because we have this active firehead here. Luckily, this lake anyways provides some barrier at least to block some of this fire behavior. So that's one positive. The highway completely overrun in a number of sections there, up by Sucker River still. A lot of water out there, at least, to try to block this in the long run, I guess. But no, not enough. Some of these lakes are pretty big, and they're at least providing a little protection in some cases. So here's another one that's fairly new, LX Santo, showing its first real run. I don't know how old that fire is, but I would suspect it's lightning caused from the last couple days. It seems to be new to me on the map. This fire has time. Could it run all the way towards these guys and join them like so many others have? This one as well seems fairly new to me as well. So we have a couple new starts, I think, in the area. A little less activity showing currently on there. I'm skeptical sometimes on the maps, so just be skeptical too. But this is the next big story. I said this would happen last week when the fire was right in the door of Flin Flon, and everyone's like, the fire is 2 kilometers from Flin Flon. I said, yeah, they'll probably be able to stop that looking at the wind and weather. And how big the defensible line is and where their position in town is, that the fire is probably going to creep more than just run. So that was a bit of a win, it felt like. But I said at the time there was Wolf, and Wolf was all the way over back here. You can see where Wolf was still. And it took a big run this last 2 days. The wind just pushed it hard. So it's gone all the way over to this lake whose name I'm not even going to try to say. Yes, I am. Athapapascow. Sure, was that so hard, Joey? No. The Kississing Lake fire took a big run all the way down to Elbow Lake in the last 2 days. And the town of Sheridan still fire on every direction from them, more or less. Active fire at times in the wind. We saw a lot of growth to the north as well on this one. Then we seen it take a big run once again, a big run. You can tell how the wind just kind of gets into a section and boof, doof, 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 doof. It gets into a bunch of trees and it gets hot enough and it just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. So that's not good. Not seeing any fire details on these guys up north here. Let's see. Looks pretty quiet up there. There's been a lot of cloud cover, maybe even some rain on some of them. I don't have exact details, but we've seen where the low is every time we look at these maps and see. There was a lot of activity up here at Split Lake. Seems pretty quiet right now at the moment, despite how much activity there's been over the last couple of days. Well, where is there more activity? The red fire, like we've shown on the other maps there, looking like it's had quite a bit of activity, grew on the one flank a fair bit, as we saw earlier today looking at that. Things pretty quiet down at Ken Fire. now after a bunch of burning days a number of days ago through the weekend and whatnot. But then it took some rain. It's got some down conditions, has some cloud coming through it. Hopefully the wind doesn't come too strong on it that Justin sent us. But our big stories, I think, right now are Flin Flon surrounded. Flin Flon is surrounded, and I'm concerned for that. Now, they really have a lot of directions with which they have to defend themselves from, and that's, to me, as bad as it can get without burning down the situation they're in right now. It really increases the likelihood that something bad can happen for them. So I don't know. I can't tell you which of these hot areas we're seeing could be ignition operations. There could be smoke causing that. It could be from other places. There could be a number of reasons. But to me, seeing it that close to town should be a good cause for alarm. That fire's taken about a 40-kilometer run this week or more. Well, how far? Well, back when I said it could happen, it's like it was 2 kilometers from town. Everyone's like, and I was like, I think we can win that one. But what about this guy over here? It's 40 kilometers away. And it seemed crazy maybe for some of you that a guy like me would be saying like, well, the 140 kilometers away may be more of a threat than the one that's right there. So it must have gone almost 50 kilometers, 45 kilometers, something to that effect, 40 kilometers minimum. This fire took a major friggin' run. It's really surrounded Flin Flon now. That's going to make everything more difficult. That is a war zone in the works for sure, if it hasn't been already over the last number of days. The merger of these fires, I think, is a next big story. I don't see any reason why this guy won't join the Shoe Campfire, which I'm just going to keep referring to as Shoe Campfire, even if it grows all the way up here. I think the other big story is La Ronge is in extreme danger now. That fire was a long ways from La Ronge, and it took a big run this week. You can see, more or less where the head of it was, and then where the run it took was. Again, this kind of a run is much like the other one we've seen, where, we'll just randomly pick here and say that, hey, at least 35, somewhere between 30, 40 kilometers, something like that. That fire has run over the last bunch of days. So fires cutting off highways, cutting off access, threatening a number of communities. Still, we are far from out of this. I wish I had some better news for you. Consider becoming a channel member. Hit like, share, subscribe, comment. It helps me with the algorithms there. I'm really trying to grow this channel. I put a lot of effort into these fire weather forecasts and discussions, and sometimes get very little amount of viewership for it. And I look at the quality of other videos talking about the wildfires in Canada. I'm like, man, there's no one else like me who says it like I do, who's got the information for you right here, who makes long range predictions about what we could see for problems ahead, and consistently and proven right. That's why you're here, everybody. Okay, bye now.